A mini band exercise now with the band around the toes. We're actually going to travel here, so I want to keep my feet wide and keep the band stretched. So it's a tiny little step from a low position and a tiny little follow-up step. We don't want to let this foot come slamming into this one. We go here, we would do the prescribed number of reps in one direction, and then we would go the opposite direction. Stay low, stay upright at the same time, and stay stretched. I'm kneeling now with the mini band still around my toes, and I want to point that toe and really extend that leg, and then lifting from the hip, just a little flutter kick. Try to keep your back from hyperextending, extend your head forward, lift, and kick. We'll add a mini band movement now. We're going to use a balance stance. No weight on this foot, because what I want to do is sweep in a big half circle arc, and I can always touch that toe down to assist in balance if I need it, but if not, just make the biggest half circle sweep you can make. And then switch ankle on this side, toe on this side, and repeat. Now a little different. I'm going to put the band over my left thigh and get down to a three-point base. The movement's going to be an extension back, but what I want to do to make this a little bit more dynamic is I want to come up off the floor with that left knee. So I'm nearly kneeling, but now I have to connect from my hands to my back toes and extend away. The left knee is 3 or 4 inches off the floor, and the right leg extends straight back. Nearly kneeling, one leg extension. Here's a resisted lateral skip. I'm going to skip 3 times one way and 3 times the other way. So you can just start by getting in a skipping rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's got a nice rhythm to it. Drive the leading knee up. Dynamic warm-up. Ours begins with skipping. It seems a simple movement, but it's a little bit more complicated. For one thing, we've got to get the arms involved. We've got to get the timing involved. We have to make sure we're not bringing the same side hand and knee up at the same time. So we want to be light, we want to be tall, we want to be nice and easy. Thumbs up, hands relaxed. You're going to skip forward about 15 meters and then skip backward 15 meters. Nice and light. You're on your toes, never hitting your heels down. This is a lateral shuffle in our dynamic warm-up, and what we want to do is don't let the feet cross over or bang together, and we're going to combine some upper body, sort of like low, high, low, high. Just shuffle, swing your arms, and when you get 15 meters down, reverse. Just a shuffle. One priority of the warm-up is to get hips warm and loose and ready to compete or to train. And we're going to do a forward and backward crossover skip. And we want big, sort of noisy hips here, stepping over. And when you get to the other end, you have to still take time to get this foot across. And you have time, because that little skipping motion permits you to hop on one foot and make the rotation. Forward and backward crossover skip. Quick step carioca. Why quick step? What's quick? We're not moving fast in that direction, but what we want to do is lots of quick hip turns. We want to make sure the hips turn fully forward and back. Quick feet, light feet. These are little, light, rhythmic zigzag bounds, not leaps. We're not going for maximum distance here. All we want to do is go from toe to toe, swinging the arms, light. And I like to recommend people bring their feet together, and going backwards tapping one ankle with the free foot forces you to have that balance moment. I'm going to skip sideways now, and the only rule that I'm going to follow is that I'm going to not let my feet cross over. So I have to get all the motion from this back leg, my push-off leg, and going back the other way. Drive the knee up, swing the arms, push, and skip. This is diagonal skipping, and maybe the easiest thing to do is to begin skipping in place and then push yourself from side to side and then go backwards. Your hips move slightly laterally, and your feet are coming down slightly wider than if you're straight ahead skipping. Now in the movement progresses to greater complexity. So what we want to do in the warm-up is, this is going to be 2 bounds forward and 1 bound laterally. We want to make nice straight lines. So I'm going to go bound, 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 bound. It's important to bound straight laterally and then be able to land and hold that glide ski footing. Here's a nice little addition to your dynamic warm-up routine. I'm going to shuffle twice forward with a forward-facing pivot. And what I want to do here is really get down low on the pivot. So staying low, shuffle, shuffle. With a turn, I'm pivoting forward here. And now, to go backwards, it's a reverse pivot. So it's a forward and backward movement with a lot of lateral components to it. We will put this high skip movement in towards the end of the warm-up when you're ready for it. What we want to do is just really hit the ground and bounce up and drive that knee up. And it's not about going fast. It's about trying to get some hang time in the air. Movement puzzles. I'm going to do a lateral bound, 1 foot to the other foot, and then a forward hop, 1 foot to the same foot. So I will go here, hop forward, bound, hop, bound, hop, bound, and hop. The idea is to feel solid on your landing and be able to imagine that you're gliding on your ski. Here's a fun one. I'm going to bound to the right and rotationally bound back to my left. And each time I bound, I'm going to turn 90 degrees. And I'll do these until I've come full circle, and then I'll repeat the process the other way. So I'm going to move bound to the right, so this will be a counter-clockwise pattern. Here we go. Bound, rotate, bound, rotate, bound and rotate, and back to the beginning. Then I would repeat in the other direction. Here's the movement puzzle. Forward hop off of a lateral bound. We're going to do a backward hop off a lateral bound. So the bound goes here, the hop goes backwards, hop backwards, bound, hop, bound, hop. Using a medicine ball now, I want to do a reverse-facing side-to-side wall bounce. And there are a couple things that are really important. One, biggest thing, is letting the offside heel move and rotate, because that protects your spine. That's how you take care of that beautiful chain that's the spine. And then I want to turn my head, catch the ball, and I want to throw it so that it comes back to where I need it. If I throw it too far behind me, it's going to come back and hit me in the leg. So play with this a little bit. Feel that movement. Feel your hips shifting, and then do it. 2 dumbbells, balanced, alternating upright row. Pull high, up, and down. As one goes up, the other returns. Fight for your balance. Whenever you feel like you're about to lose it, do whatever you can to try to hold it. It'll stabilize these muscles and joints all the way up and down the leg. On the ground now, I'm going to do a movement called prone turtle. Turtles would love to be able to do this. The wider your hands are and the farther they are from your feet and the wider your feet are, the harder this movement gets. So if you're practicing, bring your hands in close, bring your feet close to you, and then the movement is just to twist and balance and hold. So when you do that, long and wide and low, with your hips low, it looks like that, and then that. Take your time, bring your foot underneath you, and bring it back, prone turtles. I'm using some stretch cables now with handles. They're anchored to the wall. I have it anchored up high. Really useful piece of equipment. And what I want to do here is a movement we call draw the bow. So I'm facing in, the attachment is high. I'm going to turn, step, and bring my elbow to my knee. That's the rubric. Bring your elbow all the way down to your knee. Get as far away from the foot that you're pushing off of, and go alternating side to side. Draw the bow. Looks like you're pulling back on a bowstring. The basic squat. Parallel stance, squat to toe raise. I like to include a touch on the floor because that means that we're going to get down low here. Come up tall, finish tall. And to do this with the toe raise at the end, this should take about 1 rep per second when you get moving. Here is an alternating forward lunge with a twist. The lunge that we do does not include a back knee bend. It's a straight, strong leg and a strong connection as you reach across. Step all the way back to standing. Step out, balance, twist, and reach to the floor. Now this is a 12-inch step, and you will adjust the size of the step based on where you are in your training program. I'm going to do an alternating forward step up, and what I want to do here is put my full foot on the box, jump up as high as I can, change feet in the air, and barely touch ground here. I don't want a lot of weight on the back foot. So we're here, and alternating forward step up. A basic jump squat with a floor touch to emphasize that we want to squat to touch the floor rather than bend to touch the floor. Jump up and land as softly as you can manage. So, touch, jump, and listen to your feet. You don't want to hear that. Our second leg circuit begins with a squat done from a staggered stance. And the stagger means that your heel and toe are roughly aligned. We don't want to be in that. That would be a split stance. We want to go staggered stance. We want to be tall at the finish and the beginning. So we're going to go down, touch the floor. The back heel can come up. Come on up and press your toe up so that you get your shoulders high and your head high. And then at the halfway point, we switch and do the other reps from the reverse stagger. Here is a lateral lunge with a twist. And there's an important knee protection instruction here. When I lunge this way, if I don't think about this foot, it's going to want to do that. That puts my knee at risk. We don't want that to happen. We want to have that foot flat. So think about keeping your ski flat on the snow. And then I'll reach out here, push back, reach out, reach across. This is lateral lunge twist, and the push-off foot stays flat and engaged, and this leg straightens. I will use the step now, and I'll do a non-alternating step up. And this is really about balance and control. So what I want to do is, from a tall posture, I want to step up and drive that knee up, and then barely touch that toe to the floor. No weight on that back toe, and drive that knee up, toe up. Do all the reps prescribed for one set, and then switch and go to the other foot. And finishing leg circuit number 2, we're going to do a lateral bound with an offside reach and touch. So we get a bunch of this rotational movement in there. So it looks like this. I'm going to bound here, touch there, bound there, touch there. The important part is landing the bound and supporting the balance through the transition. A supine movement, we call this dying bug, alternating dying bug. Palms are flat on the floor because you want to use this palm to help this arm come up and touch that toe. And then the other one. A couple of things to keep in mind. We don't want to bring the heels back to the ground with a clunk. Don't want to hear them at all. So make sure that you're settling that foot softly to the floor. And if you want to really turn this movement up, you could try to do it without putting the heel down at all. But you want to bring your upper body and your lower body into position where you can touch your shoe. Using my dumbbells now, balanced again. We always want to stabilize because we've got a lot of glide and balance to do in skiing. I'm going to do alternating overhead press, and you might find that your other leg can move in opposition and facilitate your balance. Play around with it. Alternating overhead press. With the stretch cables now facing in and the attachment up high, I want to do a long backward lunge and a sort of a Nordic pull swing down. And you'll notice I'm holding onto the cables here because it's more as it would be if I was using actual ski poles. So this is a big backward step, straight back leg, and double arm swing down. You keep your arms fairly straight and stay balanced throughout. This is a side position lengthening movement. What I want to do is lengthen the base leg. In this case, it's my left. I want to take my right leg and bend it, grab the toe, bring the knee back down so that they're parallel, the two legs. And the first thing I want to do is gently pull that heel towards my butt. It doesn't matter if you get there or not. The movement, the real active movement to begin with, is to lengthen this leg as though you're trying to touch your ankle with that knee. You won't get there, but we want you to feel that length along the front side. And if you get comfortable there, extending and staying, then you can also sort of extend that knee backward a little bit and then ease off. And you will feel a nice long stretch that happens in the fascia along the front side of the hips. And here from a supine position, a really nice one for hips. Keep the shoulders down as your anchor points. Point your heels rather than your toes on this so you start to feel all kinds of stuff lengthening in the fascia behind your knee. And what I'm going to do is roll my hips over, keeping that shoulder down, pointing the heels, extending both legs, and then swinging up gently towards my arm. And then I go the other way. Bring that hip all the way over. Keep your knees from bending. You have to pay attention to what that leg is doing because it's going to want to bend at the knee, and so is the one on the ground. This is supine, hip rolls, pointing your heels. Keep your shoulders down. Now here's a great stretch for upper shoulders and lower neck. It's especially effective if you've been using your computer all day or double polling, because this is where stress tends to sit. I'm going to sit, pull my right foot up to about 90-degree angle at the knee, reach my right arm down along the inside, and keeping that knee pretty much straight up and down rather than letting it come out. I'm in this position. This is my anchor hand. What I want to do now is simultaneously push my heel away, this heel, and I've got the ball there to show you that when I do this movement, that ball should move. And I want to grab here, lift my shoulder, and pull back. So the movement is that. This is a seated one-hand grab and lean away. This is a prone position, straight leg hip roll. Again, the emphasis is on lengthening the kinetic chain always. So even the leg that isn't actually doing the swing is got to be lengthening and getting longer, and you want to feel that. So I'm pointing my toes, I'm going to roll my hip over, and then really extend that leg as far back as I can, like I'm trying to touch the far wall. And then I'm going to go the other way. Take your time, really extend, feel both legs lengthening as you do this. You'll get a very, very pleasant stretch. Supine position again. This is a figure 4, and we can do it a couple of ways. If you really are tight in the hips and you don't have good external rotation here, this is a good movement to try, but you might want to do it just by crossing your foot onto your knee. And if that's even too intense for you, you can bring this shin bone a little bit along your femur here. But I want to go here. I want to let my head rest back and gently push to externally rotate this femur at the hip. And if that feels good, and I think it will for a lot of you, then you can progress to straightening the leg, pushing on the knee, and pulling on this leg. So you're bracing here and pulling everything toward you, and you can pull and release and pull and release, and just do this until you feel that fascia along the side expanding. This is a double bent knee extend. It's a nice one for your hips. I'm crossing the bottom side over the top, and I'm using the med ball here because the action is subtle, but what I want to do is I want to push that ball away. I want to extend that knee and push that knee down simultaneously. So the action is this knee lengthening, this leg forcing that knee toward the floor, and the shoulders stay down. So everything along here gets expanded. Supine now. I'm going to lengthen my right leg, lengthen my left arm, and then bring my left knee up to about 90 degrees and reach to the outside. And now gently, carefully, slowly, I'm going to roll on that hip while I reach, while I extend, and bring that knee as comfortably and as closely to the floor as I can. And I might want to stay there for a second and re-emphasize the extension of this arm and this leg to really feel that stretch. And then I'll come back to the center, change sides, and repeat the movement the other way. This is an up, back, and over sort of movement, and when you get towards the end, you're going to feel the stresses on your cervical spine, on your neck, and so you have to be careful. Go slowly, and only go so far as you feel comfortable. And then when you finish, you roll back up, legs are straight, and when you get to this position, just push your hips straight up to reset. Don't let your back round over like this, because that's not going to do any good for you. Back, here, extend, and then all the way back up, push up. You'll do this for about 6 to 10 repetitions. This is called crow, and what it is it starts in a deep squat position. Your elbows are inside of your knees, and you put your hands out front and gradually place your hands on the floor and bring your knees and weight forward while letting your elbows bend out. And what they do then is they give sore and tired adductors and groins a very nice stretch. You bring your weight forward, you can ease off, and once you're there, you can just wiggle your hips from side to side, wiggle forward and backward. Make it feel like you want it to feel. Make it feel good. And when you finish, rock yourself back, stand tall, feel good.